They call it the book that should never have existed. For 600 years it has taunted humanity, sitting in silence while some of the greatest minds on earth broke themselves against its pages. Scholars, priests, emperors, codebreakers. None of them could unlock its secrets. A manuscript filled with plants no one has ever seen, women bathing in pools of green liquid, and words written in a language no living person has ever spoken. For centuries it was nothing but a dead riddle. But then artificial intelligence arrived. Machines that don't tire, don't assume, don't surrender. And when the manuscript was finally fed to them, something began to whisper back. The phrases that came out weren't comforting or even rational. They were dark. As if the book had waited centuries for the right reader, and now that reader wasn't human. The story begins in 1912, inside a crumbling Jesuit library near Rome. A rare book dealer named Wilfred Voynich pulled a dusty volume from a pile of forgotten manuscripts. Bound in vellum parchment, it looked ordinary at first, another relic from Europe's long Middle Ages. But the moment he opened it, the illusion shattered. The writing inside was elegant, consistent, and utterly alien. Not Latin, not Greek, not Hebrew. An alphabet of looping curls and flourishes no one had ever seen before. And then came the illustrations. Plants with twisted roots and impossible flowers. Blooms that looked like starbursts, leaves shaped like lungs, stems bending into organs. Nothing resembled nature, yet everything felt alive. The further he flipped, the stranger it grew. Naked women drawn in crude medieval style were bathing in greenish pools, their bodies linked by pipes and tubes as if they were part of a grotesque plumbing system. Some of the women were swollen, others pregnant, others dissolving into liquid. And surrounding them were circular diagrams filled with stars and zodiac signs, but the patterns didn't match our skies. Voynich instantly knew he had found something different. Not a book of prayers or herbal cures, but a puzzle that had survived centuries. Carbon dating later confirmed the parchment was written between 1404 and 1438, placing it in the height of Europe's Middle Ages. But no one could say who wrote it or why. Theories grew like weeds. Some swore it was the work of the monk Roger Bacon, who dabbled in forbidden sciences. Others whispered it was witchcraft. Some thought it was a hoax. But that theory collapsed when the ink was proven medieval, centuries older than Voynich himself. Even stranger, the Holy Roman Emperor Rudolph II once paid a fortune in gold for it, convinced the manuscript contained the key to eternal life. Jesuit priests locked it away in fear, scribbling in the margins their despair. I do not know what this is. God alone knows. Over the centuries, the book passed from hand to hand. Every owner thought they could crack it, and every one of them failed. Renaissance scholars treated it like an alchemical manual, but no plant matched their world. Astrologers mapped its skies, but the constellations refused to align. In the 20th century, the stakes grew higher. The manuscript landed in the hands of modern intelligence. During World War II, as Alan Turing's team cracked the Nazi Enigma machine, someone slipped the manuscript onto their desks. If anyone could solve it, surely they could. But months later, the report came back with one word: failure. The CIA tried. The NSA tried. Cold War cryptographers fed it through early computers, hoping brute force might do what human reason could not. But every attempt ended in the same result: patterns that teased meaning but never delivered it. One analyst called it a cruel joke. Another whispered it was a book not meant for humans to read. The more they failed, the more alive the book seemed, as if it was laughing behind its pages. And then came artificial intelligence. Unlike humans, AI has no limits, no fatigue, no need to believe or doubt. It doesn't try to force symbols into Latin or Hebrew. It simply measures patterns and probabilities. In 2018, researchers at the University of Alberta fed the manuscript into a machine learning model trained on 380 languages. To their shock, it spat out fragments resembling medieval Hebrew. Phrases emerged: she prepares the water for blood. He advises. She makes recommendations to the priest. They weren't complete, but they weren't nonsense either. For the first time, the manuscript seemed to speak. Other AIs found something different. One leaned toward Proto-Romanian. Another hinted at Latin. Another at Turkish. Each one heard echoes of a different tongue. It was like listening to a ghost that spoke in many voices at once. And yet across every attempt, the same patterns kept returning. Words for plants, blood, stars, women, water. Whatever language it echoed, the message circled the same dark themes. Worse still, when scientists stopped trying to translate and instead asked a simpler question: does this behave like a language at all? The answer chilled them. Yes. The text followed the exact rules of human speech. Word lengths, grammar spacing, clustering. It wasn't random scribbles. There was structured meaning, alive with intent, which means whoever wrote it wasn't playing a prank. They were saying something we still don't understand. The images themselves grow more disturbing the longer you stare. The plant's twisted roots resemble veins and intestines. Their blossoms echo reproductive organs. AI even mapped some diagrams to shapes of the female anatomy. Suddenly, the drawings of women bathing in strange pools weren't whimsical at all. They looked like diagrams of biology or something more sinister. The stars above them lined up not as medieval astrology but as coded instructions. Some researchers saw the shapes of molecules hidden in the designs. Others saw charts of astronomical movements not discovered until centuries later. It was as if the book contained knowledge that didn't belong to its time. And then came the most unsettling twist. Once the neural networks learned the manuscript structure, they began generating more text in the same style. Entire new pages appeared, written as if the manuscript had taught the machine how to continue its work. And in those pages, one phrase appeared again and again, no matter how many models were used: "She carries the seed of eternity." Was it a metaphor? A ritual? Instructions for a medicine? Or something worse? No one knows. But the repetition was undeniable. Across centuries of silence, across every failed human attempt, the manuscript seemed to wait for machines. And now that machines could listen, the message it gave was chilling. Some believe the Voynich Manuscript was an herbal guide, its plants metaphors for cures and poisons. Others think it was a witch's book of spells, hidden in code. Still others whisper it's not from our world at all, that it's either a relic of a lost civilization or a text left by something not human. The longer AI studies it, the stranger the possibilities become. Because what if it isn't meant to be translated into one language? What if it's not even meant for us? The real horror isn't that the manuscript is unreadable. It's that now, after 6 centuries, it is beginning to speak, and the words we've heard so far are drenched in blood, stars, organs, and eternity. Imagine a book that has been waiting all this time, silently patient, until a new kind of mind came into existence. Not human, not alive, but artificial. And now that mind has turned the key. The lock is opening, the door is creaking, and what lies beyond it may not be something we ever wanted to know. For 600 years, the Voynich Manuscript refused to answer. Now, with AI, it finally has a voice. The only question is whether we should have listened at all. The strangest part is how the book seems to respond differently each time it is studied. Scholars in the 1600s claimed they saw passages shift under candlelight, as if the ink itself resisted translation. When modern scanners digitized its pages, subtle patterns appeared, shapes within the letters that no human eye had noticed before. Some even suggest the text may be layered, written in one code above another, waiting for the right mind, or machine, to unlock it. And yet, the deeper we stare, the more dangerous it feels. Was this manuscript a message meant to guide us, or a trap laid centuries ago? The more AI learns from it, the more it begins to create in its voice, almost as if the book has found a way to keep speaking through our technology. Perhaps the greatest mystery is not what the manuscript says, but what it wants from us.